Hey everybody, this is my 125 gallon tank, and I just want to do a brief update on it. I don't have a lot of time to get a bunch of videos shot tonight, so we're just going to have a real quick look at my 125. Of course, that's me saying a real quick look. That might be 10 minutes, but you know how it goes with me and my videos. So I finally moved my air stone over into this tank, and we are beginning to work on all of this nasty, filthy, green cyanobacteria growth, whatever this stuff is that I've got all over this tank. If you will notice the front glass, and you can see how I've got sort of the lines in it, that is because I took my siphon hose and I went in there and physically removed a bunch of the green sheeting that had grown over top of everything. If you'll remember from my video not long ago, I showed you this tank and showed you how much green I had growing all over everything. This plant here, this is my Java Fern Windelov. That was completely covered with a layer of thick green growth across the top. So I physically removed that. My loaches in here are going nuts because they think it's dinner time. So I physically removed that, and I physically removed some of the other larger amounts of the growth. Obviously I couldn't get it off of everything, or that would have been that, and that would have been the end of the issue. So I was able to use my siphon and basically just scraped along the glass, and big sheets of it came off the glass. So that lets me know that while I am dealing with probably just some algal growth and stuff like that, the sheeting nature of it indicates that there is definitely cyanobacteria growing in there as well. That's the stuff that comes off in those big slimy green sheets the way it does. So since I've gotten the treatment going on in here, you can already see how much cleaner everything is. The green has died off, and what you see now is either a more pale green, or you see the bright green of that hair algae, which I don't mind. I've got algae eating fish in the tank. A little bit of hair algae growing on things is not an issue for me. It's that thick green coating of cyanobacteria that grows in there that becomes problematic and that I'm trying to get rid of. So I'm going to do the same thing with this tank that I did with my gourami tank recently. I'm going to let this treat for 2 days, and then I'm going to do a big water change, and then I'm going to retreat it again immediately, and I might even do that for a third cycle just to make sure I knock it out of here. The Chemiclean treatment that I use is not that expensive, and if I've got to do this once a year, then so be it. And while I've got the air stone in there and I've got everything going, it doesn't hurt to just do a couple cycles of treatment to really knock it out of there and beat it back as much as possible, and then that gives me more time before it ultimately does come back and grow back into the tank. So one of the problems I get is that my plants will start growing a thick sheet of green over top of them. So this is all my water sprite, and you can see I've got it actually coming up, you know, it grows right up and out of the tank until it hits the glass, and then of course the hot glass from the lighting on it burns the, you know, pieces of plant that touch it. But I've got this huge mass of water sprite in here that I'm going to need to get in there and start separating some of the babies off of it pretty soon. My grow out tank where I keep my water sprite, because I do sell my aquatic plants, I've got water sprite for sale, got Java Fern for sale, and probably some odds and ends of some other stuff. I think I got a few pieces of temple plant over there, maybe some anubias. If somebody needed a piece of anubias, I could cut a chunk out of a tank or something like that. So I do have aquatic plants for sale if you want to check down below and you see my email. But I do have a grow out tank in the other room that I just keep plants in, and I just sort of cycle plants in and out. I use it as a quarantine tank, and it's running really low on water sprite. So the last time I did a big water change in this tank, I just threw a bucket full of this stuff away because it had that green filth growing all over it, and I didn't want to just throw that into my grow out tank, so I just threw it in the trash. So now we're treating it, and after this has been treated, I should be able to pull some stuff out of here. I mean, you can see this whole hanging root system back here. That's off of one of the offspring from this main plant, and that's one of the big offspring. There's tons of them in there, and what I'll do is I'll pull all those little ones out. I'll leave this main body in there, and I mean, you can see, maybe you can see, I mean, you can see the size of some of these fronds that are growing off this main structure here. This is the main body. So that is a nice sized plant. It goes all the way down, about halfway down the length of the tank. Now, one time I did have this so that the water sprite almost completely covered the entire top of the tank, the entire surface of the water, but there was just no light getting into the tank at all, and that was just a little too green for me, a little too much plants in there. So I reduced it to this one end, and you can still see how dark it gets down there in the bottom of this tank. So my plans for tonight are to get in there and do my first big water change. It has been 48 hours. We're going to do the water change tonight, refill it. I will re-treat it. And we're also going to get in here. I don't know if you can see all these water lily. They're growing all the way up to the surface. I bought these as red tiger lotus, but somebody pointed out the other day that they look more like marble tiger lotus to them. And I looked it up. I'm not sure. It could go either way for me. I will also say that they were a lot redder. You can see this one has a lot of red in it, this leaf. This one's behind all that green on the glass, so it's hard to tell, but there's a lot of red on this leaf too. When I bought this, it had a lot more red in it and a lot less green. And I just think over the years and years that it's been growing in my tanks, I don't know whether I'm losing some iron content in my substrate. This is a planted substrate. It's called Eco Complete by Carib Sea. It's really good stuff. I'll put a link down below to that as well. And it contains all those trace minerals you need, like iron, you know, boron, cadmium, all those little weird things that you never really think about, the trace minerals. But I don't think the stuff lasts forever. I don't think it's made out of those trace elements. I think it just contains them. And after several years of being in a tank, you know, just like the soil outside, it probably gets depleted. So at some point I may have to start adding supplements or something, but as of now I don't do anything in my tanks. I don't feed them, I don't put ferts in them, I don't do anything like that. So maybe my iron content is reducing in my substrate a little bit, and the lower iron content will also give me less red coloration in my reddish plants. And if you're wondering what all this is about, that is just my it's not a pothos plant, but it's related to a pothos plant. I can't think of the family it's in off the top of my head right now. It doesn't matter, but it's going to go on my big center area that I've been working on. I'm just got it right there out of my way for the time being because I'm having a bit of a frustrating go at my project I've been working on. So I'm kind of taking a couple days break to just let my brain cool down, and we'll get back to that here soon. So make sure you're subscribed, that way you won't miss anything I've got coming up. You won't miss any updates on this tank or any of my project that I've been working on. I know I've been talking about it forever, and if I don't get something functioning on it soon, I will at least do a video and show you what I've been working on, even though it's not really much different than what the last time you saw it. I just have not been able to actually get it working. So really, it's just kind of still standing there. I'm just trying different things to get the same waterfall up and running and functioning. So like I said, if you're subscribed, you won't miss any of that or anything else. As I always say, you never know what you're going to get with me. So don't forget, this one's my 125 gallon tank. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you real soon on the next one.